Hi guys, it's me again. If you made it through part one, congratulations. You are a super fan, and I really appreciate it. But I did warn you at the beginning that I would be putting out and you probably don't trust me that I'm going to put out videos because I haven't been putting out very many lately. I haven't been putting out a lot of content. I know that the key to success in content creation is consistency, um, but there are times to speak and there are times to be quiet. And I don't know, lately I've been wanting to be quiet. But today I'm doing a very important study on whether or not um, a person's inability to accept religion may or may not be connected to their upbringing, and whether or not they can trust that their father has their has their their own self-interest at top of mind. um, and maybe whether or not your father is benevolent. Is he a good man or is he a shitty man? We're looking into whether or not my father started out bad, or did he become bad because he was corrupted by my mother. Now, here's what you should have gotten from the video if you didn't see part one. I'm just going to quickly summarize it. What you should have gotten from part one is that, number one, I didn't like my mother from the jump. It was difficult for me as even a baby to be left alone with her. I'm not going to get into my mother or my mother's upbringing, at least not in this video. There will be some talk about my mother later on. But my main problem about my father is that he failed to protect me from the abuse from my mother. So it kind of, the first video kind of assumes that my mother's evil, and we're just taking that for granted. You don't know her. Nobody knows her. She don't like anybody. She's not friends with people. Well, okay, she's a Capricorn. No, I don't want to badmouth Capricorns. Both my sons are Capricorns, but they're not the most. God, how do I articulate this? They're not the most personable people. They're born to be nihilists. They what's that one from Buster Scruggs? It's a vocabulary word. It starts with an A. No, misanthrope. It starts with an M. It starts with an M. Misanthrope. They're born misanthropes. They generally don't like people in general. So my mother didn't like me. I'm her least favorite. But my dad is also his mother's least favorite of 13. So, which is worse. Okay, that's one thing that you should have gotten from video one. But that, just because your mother doesn't like you, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. I did make sure that was clarified. You know, it's just one signal. It's one signal. Maybe I was born evil. You know, maybe Dad was born evil. I don't know. I'm not judging me. this is about judging my dad. I did talk about having a career as a prostitute. Um, Jesus, I'm a little bit tipsy. I watched the State of the Union address tonight, and I watched it on the with Steven Crowder. So there was a drinking game associated with the State of the Union address, and so I'm a little bit tipsy. Um, so you'll have to be patient with me, and I've also made drunken videos before, so if you have a problem with it, I'm sorry. Sometimes I drink. Um, what you should have gotten out of the video is that my dad's parents were separated in my dad's formative years, so he may stay with a wife, which is we've already decided. This is already decided. By my accounts, we've already decided that my mother's evil. But he may stay married to an evil woman just so that he doesn't, so they don't separate like his parents did. When they were growing up, it wasn't that common to get a divorce. It became common in later years, but I'm sure that made an impression. Maybe he wouldn't have divorced her for being evil, let's say, just in a general sense, because of his parent situation, and that they didn't stay together. Maybe I'm when your folks get a divorce, I'm sure it makes an impression. I mean, I don't know for sure. I know that when I was growing up, everybody's getting divorced. It's the 80s, and so the boys are talking, and I'm talking with my sister, and we're talking with our brothers, and I'm like, or like if our parents would fight or something, like if they would yell at each other and we were down in the basement, who's gonna stay with mom and who's gonna go with dad? Nobody wanted to stay with mom. My mom is an emotionally vacant person. She's not, there's no heart inside of her ribcage. I'm not sure what sort of pacemaker she's got happening that's pumping her blood, but there's no emotions or feelings in her heart. She had trouble in high school. She had a handicapped girlfriend named Mary. I remember everything. I have an incredible memory. She had a handicapped girlfriend named Mary, and then she went into the Glee Club. Uh, she was the treasurer of the Glee Club, and Glee just sounds so funny to me, just because happiness is not something that she would strive for or elevate or promote in any form or fashion. But she was the treasurer of the Glee Club. Go Beavers! I went to Tenino one time, and I was. This is just about 4 years ago. Me and my boyfriend at the time, we went to a bar, and I just kept asking all the patrons. We were all outside. There was an outside area. There was a bunch of people that were sort of busy that night, and I kept asking everybody if they were beavers or not. And they all said, what? Apparently, at the bar I went to, none of them were Tenino Beavers, but that's my mother's high school, where she was a proud treasurer of the Glee Club. I don't know why I mentioned that. I hate when I get extemporaneous. And I probably shouldn't make videos when I'm drunk, but I had some important things there. I have evidence here. I have some things I want to go over with you about my dad. All we're trying to figure out, the whole point of this video is to figure out whether or not my father, I have to be careful not to say his name. I would prefer to call my parents by their first names, but I can't in this video because I don't want to, what is it, defamation or something? I don't want to be in trouble for defamation, but I just want to be able to talk about everything. You know, it's only defamation if it's false, but there's also other things that could be associated with saying his name. I'm not going to say his name. So, okay. Where are we going? What should you have gotten from that video? Oh, I called him a homo. Yes, I called my father a homosexual, but that's okay because most people are homosexuals to me. Okay? There's, he's chauvinistic and he is misogynistic, and he did procreating without really providing or protecting. The providing didn't bother me. I don't mind about being poor, but he did. If we talk about in society, we talk about how poverty leads people to crime or criminal activities, or just in general bad behavior, lack of education. Not having a father in the home, which I guess Dad sort of qualifies for. I don't know how often Grandpa Ship was in the home. I don't know that. I don't know what year it was that he and Helen were starting to have problems and issues, but I think that my father was still in school. His formative years. So they separated. I'm sure that made a huge impression of him, in the mid-60s. A lot was going on back then. Okay, so one thing that qualifies my father for being born evil is that his mother doesn't particularly like him. That he's not in her top 3, let's say. I put him in, I think he's the last. I think he's number 13 of Helen's favorite. If there's any of relatives of mine who would call that different, who would be the 13th? Except my dad. Like, I have no idea. I know who she preferred, but I don't know who she hated most. But I know that she didn't like my dad. So that's another thing you should have gotten from the video. Mom being evil is the baseline. We're just figuring out about, is Dad evil or not, and did my mom corrupt him? He comes from a good family. That's what I wanted to mention first. Let's do that first. And then after this, we're going to, let's watch TV together, and we'll get some things from the horse's mouth, and then I have some court documents. This is going to be very interesting. Just stay with me. This is him ranked against his other siblings. The first 2 are the things that are most important to my father. Okay, the other three are just things. I'm ranking him against his own family. It's a small what do they call this, control group? It's a small control group, but it's also a large control group compared to uh, most people, right? Like I'm in a family of four, so you can compare me against three other people that are based on the genetics of my two personal. That's the control group. Um, but the Schipman family. Did you like my poetic Waterman Schipman analogy? I really do think there's some merit to that. The Schipman name is important to me, and I don't want to trash it um, by perhaps speaking ill of one of the members of this family. I believe my father came from a good family. I don't believe my mother did. We may do. I don't even like to think about it, but we may do something about the Waterman family. It's, it's way too. I can't do it right now, but right now we're just looking at the Schipman family. And two things that are important to my dad: male-based sires. If you're you should have gotten from the first video that I'm from Montana, and there's a lot of farmers around that area. It's a especially in eastern Montana. There's a lot of really large, massive swaths of land that are owned by. These are. I don't know. I haven't been back there. I hope it hasn't been taken over by Californians or especially Washingtonians. They're the worst. They're the worst liberals. Um, but when you're raising livestock or when you're producing animals, one thing that you measure somebody by, a male animal by, is their ability to produce males. The male based sires index, and I'm only counting 7. My grandpa Ship, he only had 7 boys. Of the 13, well, okay, you can also call Grandpa Ship a male based spy. He has more than 50% of his product, of his what do you call that, of his seed, were male children. This is very important to my dad. The reason why I know that it's important to my dad is that he had 2 more kids when he absolutely did not have the any semblance of capability of having 2 more kids, but he had an inner need, a drive to prove his masculinity by having 2 more children that he absolutely could not afford. He could barely afford me and Dee. Dee's my sister. Dee has not contacted me because what does a waterman do? A waterman can, that's right, poison wells. That's what they do. Okay, so I haven't spoken to my sister. As a side note, none of us are married. It's funny that you come from a family of, a married family, a nuclear family, isn't that what they call it? And none of the 4 kids have a successful, long-lasting marriage. My parents have been married for 50... Is it something that's wrong with us, Mom and Dad? Is it something wrong with us? Or are we just trying to not do what you guys did. Okay, so let's rank my father out of the. If we were going to include the females, we know that if you're watching and you're a family member of mine, you know that Oni's husband Rex has a record. He's 5-0 on producing male children. If he was a stud horse, he would be a very successful stud horse. And that's it's five. It's five sons, no daughters. Okay, and that's why I loved Oni. Oni, his wife, made me feel special for being a daughter. You know, being a female, she enjoyed having me around just based on the fact that I'm a girl and she's got 5 boys running around her house all the time. Okay, and I appreciate that about Aunt Oni. But as far as the male base sires out of the 7, we got Lonnie at the top. Objectively, Lonnie's 3-0, 3 wins, no losses. Lance and Landon, they're 2 and 3. And if my father was to talk to you, he would probably say, "But wait a minute, I had 2 boys." No, Lance and Landon were 1 and done, 1-0. That's a complete 100% record. That is no losses. That is 0 losses. So they're above you, Les. They're above you. Okay, I'm going to skip. Lane and Larry, they're also above my father. Okay, Lane had... Okay. I'm not sure if Larry's record is better or if Lane's record is better, but they're both 2-1. That's 2 wins and 1 loss. Okay? But Lane had 1 and then a daughter and then a son. Larry had 2 sons and then a daughter. So I'm not sure if Lane or Larry could be interchangeable. If you look, you know, it's 2 or 3. Anyway, my father is just above Lee. Lee only had 2 girls. Lee had 2 girls and he quit. He didn't have to prove his masculinity, you know. And look at Lee and Pam were in a horrible auto wreck. Lee was driving a truck and they got in a horrible wreck. It was, you know, like over a pass or something. They crashed. It was snowy. They crashed. My Aunt Pam had her pelvis broken in 7 places. This was before she had any kids. It might have been, no, I think it was after they were married, but it was before they had kids. But Jesus Christ, can you imagine carrying any kids? I'm surprised. I think I was in 8th grade when Tori was born. I was just so happy that they could have 1, but they ended up having 2. God, you're a trooper, Pam. You're a trooper. I can't imagine. I'm not even going to speculate on the childbirth or anything like that, but Lee didn't see the need after producing 2 girls to improve his record by getting her pregnant again so that he could perhaps have a boy. But Dad threw the dice and ended up having 2 girls first. 2 girls first, Dad. nobody else did worse than you. Nobody else did worse than you. If you were trying to have, I mean, because Lee wasn't even trying, but you were trying, and you failed twice, and you got me first. God, that is disappointing. Yeah, Lee doesn't need to have a son. He's got Jesus. Lee and Pam had Jesus more than anybody else, and they only had girls, and they were satisfied with that. And I'm not saying that that is any disparaging thing toward Lee, but with my father, producing a male was important, and he didn't just want a male; he wanted a pair of males. He wanted two. Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me. Bless me. Thank you. Well, the numerical percentage of his male-based sires is 28%. He's in the bottom 28%. Five of his brothers scored better than he did on the male producing index. I'm only mentioning that because it's important to him. I'm doing him first. I'm sure he would appreciate that. The most advantageous marriages. Now, if you saw the first part of the video, you know that my father grew up in bitter cold, abject poverty. His drive to get money really kind of it got to his core. He wanted to have money deeply, deeply, deeply from. He really wanted to have money, and the need and want for money. That's why. Did I say this already? They say that the black community does more robberies and more crime because they're in more poverty-stricken areas. It can, that lack, the utter lack, it really can taint your soul. I hope it hasn't tainted mine. It may have. I was a prostitute. I think we covered that already. Did I? Okay, let's keep on track. The most advantageous marriages of the 7 brothers. Again, we're not measuring the boys against the girls. I don't believe in measuring the boys against the girls. Who are the most? I didn't even think about the boys are only competing against each other in this family of 13. I don't think it's fair to have the girls compete against the boys, even though I did mention that Rex beat Lonnie, Lance, Landon, Lane. Rex has a good record for producing males, and he does do horse racing. He's probably living in Kentucky or something. Last I checked on those two, I think they were in Kentucky somewhere. And I wish them luck, but he did produce a lot of boys. Most advantageous marriages. I put Larry at the top. I wrote to Larry not too long after he lost his oldest. His address is the same address as, I think Patty's dad's name is Rob. I think his name is Rob. I think that Larry is living on his father-in-law's property right now. Um, Lonnie and Donna, I put at number 2 because I think that isn't her maiden name Hart? I could be wrong about that, but Hart's own huge swaths of land, and Lonnie was always great at financing things. Whatever he wanted to do, he could finance whatever operation he could. I've seen, he was in Dillon. He was in Sydney Poplar. Always had a leased brand new truck that he drove around. Lonnie was smart about finances. I don't know if he was utilizing Donna's credit in any way, or if I don't know if Lonnie lived on Donna's parents' property or not, but I think that Donna's property was sizable. 3 and 4 are Lance and Lane. I don't know if I love Marianne. And Pam's dad's name is Walt. But I don't know. Walt had some land in eastern Montana. Lee established himself without having to tax anything on Walt. And I don't know about Lane and Marianne. They're kind of neutral as far as what those two got from their wife's family. I put Lance and Landon at 5 and 6. Lance is at 5 because he got a divorce, and Landon's at 6 because, I don't know what happened to Landon. I don't know if what happened to Landon involved his marriage. I don't want to assume that or put that out there or anything. Like, as far as I know, Sally was a sweet, sweet woman. I was at their wedding. I was not privy to whatever happened to Landon, but I put my father at the bottom because he married a evil woman, which, that's subjective. Evil is objective. It's objective. I think he got some things from my mom's mom. I think he was sponsored by my mom's mom. But they're not living on their land. And I'm positive that if there was any monetary advantage to have, Mom wouldn't just be giving it away to people. So, that would be all. And I don't think my father personally gained any advantage outside of him having his businesses sponsored. My dad, my parents were young when they had me. Dad was 24 in 74 when I was born, and he had a problem with bosses. He didn't like bosses. My father, like everybody in their 20s, I don't think my siblings understand that I was there for the worst of it, for the worst of my dad's leadership. He didn't like bosses. He always felt underappreciated and underpaid, and he didn't have problems quitting jobs. And like I said in the part one, yes, my mom had a trust fund, but those were very, very tight purse strings. My grandma was trying to make him do something for himself. And he had some dismal failures. So, I don't know. I put him in the bottom 14% of the 7 brothers on most advantageous marriages. Just because, I mean, and look at the personalities. Larry's at number 1. Who can think of a better wife than Patty? Who's better, better looking? She's very beautiful. Who's more polite, more personable, more, and then Lonnie. Oh, Donna, so much fun. And Lane, this is why it went the way it did, is because these are the personalities that I like the most. Donna and Marianne they're just fun people. They have a sense of humor. They'll make eye contact with you. You can laugh with them. Pam is golden. Pam is golden. You can't drink around her, okay? And, let's keep Jesus in the center of the room. I don't know. I haven't met the bottom 14% of most advantageous marriages. Number 7. He was number 6 at male-based sires. He's number 7 in most advantageous marriages. Best fathers of daughters. Only 4 out of the 7 had daughters, so you have to rank Lee first, right? Lee had 2 daughters, and he did a good job raising daughters that were good people, didn't he? Like much better than my father did, right? I mean, Dad has 2 chances. Maybe he fucked up one and aced the other one. I don't know. I haven't spoken to D in 10 years. But best fathers of daughters, I put Lee, and then I put Larry and Lane interchangeable, because I don't know which is better. I wouldn't say that Shoney's better than Jamie or anything like that, but I think they both had equally good parents that respected their daughter, thought their daughter was in some way precious and important. My father, I think we can all agree that my father failed me. That doesn't make him evil, okay? But he inarguably failed me, okay? Mom's favorites, that's Helen. Helen's favorites would have been Joy. If you watched the first video, Joy, Landon, Charla, and Verda. Dad's at the bottom 8% of that. And his name is significant. I feel like, I don't know who named him, if his dad or his mom did, but he's named for, a lack of quantifiable substance. And I did want to also highlight my personal favorite aunts, even though that's not on Dad's list at all. But my favorite aunts start with number one, Sheena. Sheena knows that it would have been her. Sheena, I babysat for her a little bit. I was like 13, 14 at the time. Her kid was very sweet. There was a lot of female energy, in the house. And I like Dan, her first husband. I just thought they were fun, and they seemed to like me. And it was so important for me to, I don't know, just to be in the presence of somebody who thought of me as a human being. I was so isolated. I was way, way, way out of a little tiny town. If you look up the Empty Circle, that's where I'm from. The Empty Circle. It could also be called a void, a zero. An empty circle could be a zero. Circle, Montana. I'm like 8 miles out. That's probably 5 miles out. And then there's a dirt road that you turn off of. So we're totally isolated, completely isolated. And that I was very poorly socialized as a kid. It was the total isolation was, well, I mean, that was their strategy. How would you have any problems if nobody's around to cause them, right? The only problems that happened were the ones that my parents created. And that's what happens when you're out in isolation like that. And I don't know if my siblings understand that. I was there the longest. Like, I think I was 12. I lived in that shithole. Remember that shithole? I lived in that shithole till I was 12. Most of the time that I lived with my parents, I was living in that shithole, way far away from everybody. And that's why number 3, Katie, Aunt Katie, she hates when I call her that, but Katie was my classmate. And so she saw how difficult it was for me amongst my peers. It was really difficult for me to go to school. If you look at kids that are bullied, a lot of times they're getting bullied at home too. And so being bullied is just sort of their whole life. They wake up in the morning, their mom treats them like shit. Their mom sends them to school, the kids treat them like shit. They go home on the bus, the whole bus is treating them like shit. And then you go home and then your mom's treating you like shit. And then you go to sleep. And then you wake up and then your mom's treating you like shit. It's a long cycle of everybody treating you like shit. Aunt Katie doesn't know what happened at my home, because why would anybody know what happened to we're 8 miles out of Circle. Okay, we're 8 miles out of town. Why would Aunt Katie know anything about what's happening 8 miles out of Circle? But Aunt Katie, she knew what was happening in school. I was her classmate. She married my uncle. And I talked about the baby boomers. If you watch the first video, most of them are baby boomers. The only ones who are not are Lance and Landon and maybe Sheena. It just depends on how far apart they were. Sheena might not be. Maybe Sheena's Gen X. Maybe that's why I like her so much. But if she's not Gen X, she's just on the border. But Katie's number 3. Who's number 2? Verda. Verda, I've never spent one-on-one time with her in my life, but this is what I know about Verda. Verda had no time for my mother. None. None. Ever. Like, right off the bat, as soon as they met. I mean, I don't know when they met. I wasn't alive when they met. But, maybe it's just a vibe. But we had some family gatherings together. But I know that Verda has no time for that bitch. She knew that she was a cunt from the jump. She identified my mom as a cunt, and she acted appropriately. I know that one time Verda had an Easter at her house, and then it happened to be my brother's 7th birthday, so my mom tries to commandeer the party so that she can have I mean, I don't know what she was trying to do. Look, she obviously can't afford, she can't afford to do anything. She can't afford to, I mean, and who would, also, who would know her? How would she arrange a party when she doesn't talk to anybody and she treats everybody like shit? She's not friends with anybody. She's not friendly to anybody. She's not open to anybody. I told you at the beginning, this woman is emotionally vacant. But she wanted her son's 7th birthday to be special. So she, I don't know, I think she made a homemade cake, and then it was blue frosting, and then, put a 7, and I don't know, maybe my brother's name on this cake or something. But anyway, my mom was trying to make the whole day about her son's birthday. But Verda wasn't really having it. She wasn't participating. I mean, I haven't spent any time with Verda. I wish I could have spent time with Verda. The reason why I never spent time with Verda is because why the fuck, Sheena could tolerate my mom for 5 minutes to pick me up so that I could go babysit her kid. Verda had no time for my mother. Oni is another. I put her at number 4. Just because Oni thought that being a daughter and being a woman was important, and that was something that was necessary for me to get from somebody else because I didn't get it from my mom. JD, Marianne. I don't know who's in order after that, but I mean the first 3 are Sheena, Verda, and Aunt Katie, and but that doesn't matter because that still doesn't. It just says that I had a good. My dad came from a good family that is made of good people. It's a collective good people. Even though, they all grew up in poverty. All of them did. So, they didn't all do what Dad did. Let's find out what Dad did. Here's what I want to do, next. This is, how many minutes are we in? We're at 48 minutes. This is going to be a long one, you guys. I have something to show you, This is my own dad talking. Let's get the truth from the horse's mouth, shall we? I don't know if this will work or not. You may only just hear his voice. Let's see if I can make it look visible. This might take me a second. Just be patient. We're studying my dad. Everybody's discounting the fathers. Let's have a look at them objectively a little bit, right? I'm not a feminist. I'm not trying to. If he failed me, he failed me. You know. Okay. Can you see anything? Okay, this is it's a job interview is what this is. I found it on the internet. So we're going to listen to this and we're going to see what he says. This first part is cooked up by my liberal Thurston County, Washington spend money for no reason type of dad's trying to come up with he's running for commissioner. Okay, so okay, what's your platform? Well, my mom goes, I can just hear it at the house. My mom goes, oh, you know what you could run on, Les? You could run on, they really need some EMTs around here. They don't have enough EMTs to cover disasters. So you just, that'll be your platform. And this is 33 minutes long, and I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing. Maybe like 7 minutes of it. But right here at the front of this video is them talking. It's my mom used to be a dispatcher for the Broward County Sheriff's Office. So her big idea for my dad running for commissioner is that she'll get him to tell him or convince them to fund some EMTs. I can't imagine why my father would give a fuck about EMTs. Like, what's the connection to my... Why would Dad care if Broadwater County had EMTs or not? Is he's got heart problems or something? Look, okay. I don't think you're going to be able to see this. It's okay. You'll be able to hear it. But he's talking about my mom's big idea about let's do some more EMT certifications for the police in Broward County, because obviously you guys don't have enough. Can you hear it?
We can CPR and we do first aid, but in a lot of those extra life-saving services, we can't keep up with what's going on to keep people fluid.
Because of the changing rules?
Changing rules, it changed all the time, and it just became a
right now,
liability.
I understand we got like 7 or 8 certified EMTs, but only 3 or 4 responded. And that's not...
Aren't all the firefighters?
No, some of them are.
And if you, we got a track full of that down here, and we got a big propane tank over there. We got things to happen. We're not prepared.
Okay.
And that would dump some money.
Okay, we're not prepared for the big propane tank emergency that we could be facing. This is typical liberal government spending. And that's Dad's platform. He got it straight from my mother. I don't know, can you hear that? Oh. Okay, right now he's saying it's just not a generation right now of volunteers. Like Les's generation, or this man's generation is better than my generation, because Dad's generation is is more prone to volunteer work. That's what the interviewer is explaining to my father. My generation won't volunteer. Okay? Are you listening? I don't know if you can hear this or not. I hope the video. I mean, I'm sorry. This is how I do it. I don't know. I don't know how to do videos. I don't. You can tell. But here we go.
But volunteering is one of the things from the past. We just that community service, morals and values that we had back in the days.
The morals and values we had back in the day.
So everything's in dollars like attached to it now. So it's a lot tougher.
Okay, tell us about your proudest achievement in your life, or one of your proudest achievements.
Just one of them?
No? The floor is yours.
Well, I was raised in a rodeo environment. And,
Okay, he wasn't really raised in a rodeo family. It was like a one-room shack. It was a large room. There was 13 kids in it. It was a rental property. He owned no livestock. He owned no land. He owned no cattle. So he did not grow up in a rodeo family. The only thing he did do is marry a roper. But we'll get to that. I don't know if you can hear it. I'm going to try to translate.
this is when I was in a junior in high school. They used to have what they call the traveling trophy that went around to the school with their team done best at the high school rodeo, and if they done best at the, say, at division high.
Okay, I think that probably, Grandpa Ship would work on ranches or whatever. I'm sure he had access to. Maybe he learned how to. Maybe Grandpa spent a couple of summers with him and Lonnie doing some rodeo stuff. I don't deny that they had access to some livestock. Grandpa Ship would have known livestock people. He worked on ranches. That's what he did. It just wasn't his ranch, and I don't know. I've been to the house that Dad grew up in, and he didn't grow up in a rodeo family. He grew up in a shack on the Sioux Res in Wolf Point, Montana. Okay.
We got this traveling trophy for a year until next year. And when I was a junior, I won more events, more trophies and saddles than a single high school rodeo just ever in the history of that.
Okay, so he won more saddles and whatever, buckles or whatever in his junior year than anybody else did. Okay. That was under Lonnie's and Ship's leadership, and congratulations for that, Les. Dad.
Didn't get any better than that. I got traveling trophy by myself. That was one. The next one was in this kind of, you understand this, for I was in a infantry AIT unit, and I was the highest scoring final physical training.
Okay. He didn't go to Vietnam. I hope you're not listening to this thinking that he went to Vietnam, because he did not go to Vietnam. He went to Fort Lewis and met my mother, who somehow got him out of Vietnam. Okay? So I don't know. The fact that you're bragging about your stats on a PT engagement while you're in basic training, don't do that. don't do that. If you're going to basic training and you didn't deploy, then don't even bring it up that you got good stats, because it doesn't matter, because you're 19, you're at the peak of your game. Like, what does it matter how fit you were? You didn't do shit. You didn't go to fucking jungle. You didn't risk your life. So your military stats should not be your proudest moment, Dad. Not unless you went to the jungle, which you didn't. Okay? Let's go on.
So we did about 440 soldiers. I got the trophy. But the best achievement was I've never inherited a dime from anybody.
What? He never inherited a dime from anyone. Okay. Let's let him speak on a little bit. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna give him another sentence.
And I've worked hard all my life.
Works hard? Okay. Now, I've seen him work hard. I've actually witnessed him working hard. He has worked hard. But, that's not how you got what you got. You didn't get what you get from working hard. No. Okay, does he have one more sentence on this?
Right now I have to go farm my hair on the
This is 1542. I'm going to have to tag this. Here, let me go back 20 seconds.
I've never inherited a dime from anybody. And I've worked hard all my life, made good decisions. Right now I have to go farm my hair on the
Oops. Look, he did not make good decisions. It wasn't his good decisions. It was bad decisions. Listen.
The best achievement was I've never inherited a dime from anybody. And I've worked hard all my life, made good decisions. Right now I have to go farm my hair on the
I can't understand what he's saying. I have it turned up to 98. I don't know what he's saying right there. I'm going to post a link in the description for this video. They might take it down. Probably if my father ever catches wind of it, they'll have him take it down. And look at, he's doing a job interview. Who has not lied during a job interview? I guess that's part of it, right? I don't know what that last part was that he said. Okay, let's just let him keep going. I've pointed out that I am in disagreement.
That those kinds of things, how would that prepare you or make you a better leader for this commission?
Well, I'm conservative, and if you don't want conservative.
Okay, I have to go to the bathroom. My father is not conservative because he's married to a liberal wife. He's married to a liberal wife, so therefore he's not really allowed to be conservative. That's why he's already from the jump trying to beg for EMT funds in a town that doesn't need it, just because that was Mom's bright idea. Jesus Christ, boy, it doesn't look good for you, Dad. I'm gonna play that again.
So, initially, you don't want me because
I can't handle him saying,
For this commission.
well, I'm conservative, and if you don't want conservative for a commissioner, you don't want me because I don't believe in blowing money, wasting money. I like.
he was just talking about, okay, this is how my father made his fortune. Let me look at the clock here. This is a minute 05. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm drunk. I'm just telling you a story, and you can. I'm sorry. How Dad made his money. When Dad bought his farm, he financed the farm on Lower Deep Creek. If you're in Townsend, if you're, I may or may not have some watchers from Townsend, Montana, but if you are in Townsend, Montana, you know where Lower Deep Creek is. My father bought a ranch that I really liked that place. I don't know why he sold it. He must not have been making enough money, but whatever. So he purchased that because he got a $27,500 check from the will of Charlie Wanger. See, Dad is very focused on a Wang. This is Charlie Wanger. And I have in my hot little hands here, like, everything he charged his estate for. Now, if we're looking into the Bible, what the Bible tells us is, the first commandment is that we should love God. We should love God above anybody else. Okay, that's our first commandment. But the second one is to be kind to our neighbor. So my dad was kind to his neighbor, but he figured out how to monetize it. And you would not believe, I paid about $50 for this paperwork. This is a stack of papers showing what he did to rape Charlie Wanger's will. It's just what Charlie wanted. He was an old man, and what he wanted was a friend. He wanted he was my dad's age. He's the same age that my dad is now, 75. 75. He was an old man. His wife had passed away. I don't know his wife's name, but Charlie was a Catholic. He was at the end of his life, and he was living by himself, and he wanted to have a friend, and so my father acted like a friend. But if you look at what my father was charging him for, he was not being a friend. He was being a whore. He wanted to get paid for, look at, daily phone call to decedent to check on condition and if needed anything, which that's a poorly worded entry, but probably my mom wrote this and she's functionally illiterate. First of all, it probably wasn't every day, but they got $1,795 in 1983 for making a phone call, checking on him. 1984, this is almost $2,000 just for giving him a call. That's what he wanted, was a friend. You see, Charlie was 75 years old. He was an old man. He was diabetic. He was going blind. He probably needed some help, and he wanted a friend. But look at... You can't... He monetized being a good neighbor. In April 2nd, 1983, claimant Schipman. Look at... Okay, there's a bill for $200 to fix his broken window because he broke into his house because Charlie was in a diabetic coma. Now, thank God for that, right? And this was in April of 93. I wonder when... He probably didn't want him to die, right? Because he hadn't signed everything over to him yet at that point. Good Lord. But if he paid $200 to fix Charlie Wanger's window, I will kiss your ass. You can, I don't care who's watching, come to Flagstaff, Arizona, bend over, and I will kiss your ass if Dad paid $200 to fix his window. He did not pay $200 to fix his window. I'll be lucky. You'd be lucky if you paid $10 to fix his window. Checking on the cats. The amount of money that my parents got from checking on... I'll tell you, I can tell you Charlie's names of his cats. It was Teddy Bear and Yogi Bear. There was some other strays around, but Teddy Bear and Yogi Bear were the main ones. And all you do is you put a slit in the cat food box, or in the cat food bag, and that is all that happened. But all of the times, this is all falsified information about how many times he checked on cats where he didn't check on the cats. Picking up garbage and yard maintenance. Come on. Oh, stop at the Tasty Freeze. He was charging. Look at this. Charlie wanted a friend. So Dad would, somebody, when I say less, I just mean less of a man. I don't mean any person in particular. I'm not saying anybody's name. Yeah, give me a ride to town and I'll take you out for ice cream. Charlie was paying for the fucking ice cream and chicken sandwich or whatever it was. Charlie was paying for that. My father is itemizing taking an old man out for ice cream into the bank. And they're saying that they're going to the bank, and I spoke to Luella, his niece, one of his heirs, a couple of days ago. Why would Charlie go? He's 75 years old. Most of this shit, 85% of this shit, they did not do. This is all fraudulent entries written in a journal. This is all fraudulent entries written in a journal for things that they did for Charlie but they didn't actually do. At least 60%. At least 60% of what's on this paper, and I got it from the clerk of court. Anybody can get it. Anybody can get the documents, but all this shit that they're charging for, it's just standard things that you would do for your elderly neighbor. And my father figured out how to monetize that, and because they put a lien on his estate for taking him out for ice cream and greasing up the gearbox on his fucking windmill. It's not looking good for Les. I can't stop saying his fucking name. It's not looking good for my dad. He might just be evil. When another thing that's in here, and this is a part of Dad's rodeo family. His wife is a roper. His wife, Charlie's going blind, right? Charlie's going blind, and maybe he's having some difficulty getting his bills together. Maybe he is having some trouble, and maybe he needed some help. But all Mom's doing is recon on how she can rob his estate. All that is recon, and there's a couple of $1,000s that they're charging his estate so that Mom can do recon on her mark. It's just fucking amazing. It's amazing what they got away with. None of this shit is fucking true. And you know what's familiar about this? You know what's familiar about my mom and her fucking journal entries? They're only fucking 15% true. And when else did she employ this strategy? To take away my fucking firstborn baby. She wrote this fucking... It's all journal entries. You know, my mom is a fucking moron. She doesn't read... You know, she used to read back in the 80s. You know who she used to read? Think of a celebrity that's probably the worst mother that's ever been a celebrity. Just think hard. I'll give you 10 seconds to think of who's the worst mother of all the Hollywood celebrities. Now, we're getting into Clint Eastwood time, okay? That's a hint, okay? I'm going to give you 10 seconds to come up with the worst mother in Hollywood. She read about 8 of her books, okay? It's Shirley MacLaine. That's, you know, she don't read. She's not a smart woman. She's poorly educated. She wouldn't be able to tell you the differences between 2, and 2. There, and there. She can't spell. She can barely read. She can read if it has to do with some sort of a Shirley MacLaine. She's a moron, along with being evil. But she did find a chink in the system, in that the house that she sits in and is sleeping in right now. Right now, what time is it? It's 5 o'clock in the morning. My mom is sleeping in a house that she got from ripping someone off from writing from falsifying records. Anybody can write a journal. Anybody can write a journal. And who's gonna... you can't prove a journal wrong. Courts think that if you write a journal, then this must have happened that day. Oh, I guess this happened that day. Oh, really? I guess this happened that day because she wrote it down. It was written down in Barb's journal. So I guess it's written down. So, okay. I guess it's written down. So that proves it, right? That proves it. It proves that on every Tuesday the claimant would pack drinking water to the home. Bullshit. I call bullshit. Like, and everything that's on here is just, and it's offensive. It's offensive. It's just, it's cruel. They trapped him. Like I say, I was talking to Charlie's niece. It was hard for Charlie to get out of Mom and Dad's house. And after a year, okay, Charlie didn't trust banks, so he would nothing my dad was doing made any sense. I think that he must have thought that he was going to get all of Charlie's land, which is wheat property. I mean, I don't know what else he would have grown there unless he didn't have no irrigation. So it would have been wheat, and I think Charlie, he didn't want to plant anymore, but Dad was like, I'll plant it for you, and let's do a thing together. I'll plant it, and you can give me a percentage of the. I'm sure that happened because Charlie wasn't interested in. He was a plumber. Charlie wasn't a farmer. He was a plumber. He had, what did he have, like 5 acres or something? Maybe 20 acres. He might have 20 acres total, all told. But you don't make money on 20 acres. Charlie accumulated his wealth. His wealth, I got those papers too. Like he had like $300,000. The whole point is that Dad got all of his money from a fraudulent piece of paper that said that they did things for an old man that they didn't do, and they itemized and monetized kindness in a way that is morally disgusting. I don't know why Charlie didn't trust banks, so he had some jars buried that had some of them were silver coins, some of them were dollar bills, but why else was Dad digging a basement for a house that he would only have for a year? A basement is concrete, and it's sort of a permanent structure. So he dug out a basement. I think what he was looking for was jars of silver dollars. I don't know. He dug out a basement, poured a basement, and then after Charlie died and he got the check, when you live in a little tiny town like Circle, if you look Circle up, Circle, it's a little tiny town, very small. So you can't do something like rob an old man of his inheritance and fuck a guy over like that and still live in that town. But he poured a basement. He bought a house. Probably he probably spent about $5,000 on that house. Moved it. It was like a modular home. He moved it on top of the basement, and then my parents charged Charlie for living in the place that, you know, why is he digging that fucking basement? Why isn't it just a one floor? I mean, if this is what you were gonna do, then why wasn't it just put a fucking foundation on it and plumb it? Why are you building it on a basement and building a straight? Nothing he did made sense. Uh, Look, help me put this together if you can. I don't know. I don't understand anything that he did. Bought this $5,000 modular, puts it on the holes after he found whatever jars of money that was. He found there was a few mason jars of money that he found digging out that basement. Not a lot, but you know, Charlie kind of pointed to where they'd be. So whatever, got that. And then after Charlie died, I don't think you can live in a small town like that and rob an old man and still stay in a small town like that. People look down on you. People look down on me, you know, they look at you for, you know, kind of being a thief, kind of being a robber or something like that. Like I don't know, maybe it was shame that made him leave. But if you had $20,000, maybe we could move closer to the mountains, huh? Get that little place in Lower Deep Creek, which the place in Lower Deep Creek, for some reason, didn't work either. I don't know, for some reason, the place on Lower Deep Creek didn't work, and so that's why he has that place that he's got now on the edge of town. So he sold the place on Lower Deep Creek to get the place that he has now, but it's all based on this right here. Right here. All that. So when my father says that he didn't inherit anything, that's a lie. He did inherit $27,500 in order to establish the place that he has now. Okay? So that's a lie, and he's disgusting for what he did to Charlie Wanger. The Wang is so critically important to that prick. Let's see what's next. What's he going to say next? Okay, do I have video? I'm just playing it on the TV. Okay. All right, let's keep them going.
But I'm very conservative. That, in
Very
my mind,
conservative.
that's my mind.
Who's been a mentor or shaping influence on your life? Someone you admire personally?
Well, there's been a lot of them. I think the person that stands out in my mind the most was my wife's mother, who was a great granddaughter.
All right, first of all, your wife's mother is not the great granddaughter of Jim Bridger, and you're lying your ass off. And this is just it's just an example. The persona that you're trying to pull off here is fucking ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. No, that's a lie. That's something that she says. She says that look, show me the family. How come it's not on Ancestry.com, is it? Can we trace Opal's family back to... No, we cannot trace Opal's family back to the Mountain Man Jim Bridger. That is entirely bullshit, and I wish you'd stop perpetrating that lie. Jesus Christ, these people. It's a persona. This is I think I said in the first video about the Leo. They have this persona, and they're really trying to upkeep this persona. There's absolutely no truth to it. There's no... It's a plastic mirror, like a warped plastic House of Mirrors mirror. It's not true. No, Barb, you are not related to Jim Bridger at all. Okay. Let's say that right off the bat. Okay, what else did your mother-in-law do for you? What else did Grandma Opal do for you, Les? Why is it that you admire Opal? That's your more than your war hero father? More than your mother of 13 kids? More than... What about Lonnie was probably still alive at this time, but Lonnie was a mentor of yours. You can't think of anybody but fucking Opal? How come you weren't taking us... Look, when I was growing up, I only saw her like twice. You were supposed to... You had an agreement. You were supposed to bring Mom back to visit her parents every year before you married her. You go ahead and marry her, Dad, but you gotta bring her back every year. You never did that. You must not have liked her that fucking much. Okay, what else? Tell me more about Opal. Good Lord. What lies?
The old Mountain Man, Jim Bridger.
Mountain Man Jim Bridger.
If she needed a pickup overhaul, she'd go to the library and get a book and she'd...
Okay. Opal. My grandma Opal. You believe that story, Les? Have you seen her? Have you seen her overhaul a pickup before? Tell me that. Have you seen... Do you really believe that? Or are you just going with this narrative that these fucking bitches are telling you about her? Because, look it. Do you really believe that? You believe that she overhauled a truck because she... Oh, I guess the truck needs overhauled. I guess I'll go to the library. Oh, I guess here's how we overhaul an engine. Is this what you actually believe about your wife's fucking mother? Your wife's mother was a fucking cunt. Are you aware of what she did to her husband? Are you aware? Look, we'll get into the Waterman story later, but are you clueless about what she did to her fucking husband? First of all, I do not believe that she did anything in that house by herself. I think that she had people do shit because she had the purse strings, because her husband was in the insane asylum because she put him there. This is who you admire? Jesus Christ.
She built her own house, and she was just...
Built her own house. You know, it's easy to read books, ain't it? When you don't have a fucking job. You actually believe all this shit? You are buying this shit? Jesus Christ. I don't believe that he really believes that. I can't believe that he really believes that shit. I don't think he... Maybe he does. Maybe he does. Oh, fuck. Let's just keep going and let's see what else he comes up with. Very bright. It's easy to read books when you don't have a fucking job, Les.
She can figure stuff out.
She can figure stuff out? I can figure stuff out. How
Probably
come you
a
don't
rare
like me?
answer that someone would say their mother-in-law is there.
Yeah, that was a good joke.
What do you, what's your understanding of the requirements for open government and public records accessible to the public and open meeting laws as they apply to county commission?
Well, my perception is that it's all open to the public unless it's like a closed meeting for legal strategy or personnel or something. That's my understanding.
And how do you intend, and I would apply this to this and other aspects of county government, how do you
I don't know if you
intend
can hear this or not. This is...
open government requirements
It's kind of stupid.
that go into
Well, you can Google MCAs and get laws or they have a local government handbook, don't they? You guys have something like that? Or you just go to legal conferences and learn a lot.
Okay. So you can go to trainings and travel to those.
Yeah.
Did I cover this one? Tell us about a mistake you made in your life, professionally or personally, how you learned from it.
A mistake he made.
And how, I guess, it benefited you.
Well, I had a real costly mistake one time.
I'm just... Look. Okay, he had a real costly mistake one time.
We put together what was the largest, my brother put together.
His brother-in-law. I would like to know if anybody knows who this is. Let me know in the comments. I can't think of what brother-in-law. Whatever he's talking about right here. Okay, what brother-in-law put together a pellet mill? It could have been Rex, maybe. Rex had stock, and I had seen Rex feed pellets to his stock. Is it that brother that put it together? Now, I think what he's kind of trying to do, the interviewer is asking him about a mistake or a failure that he's had and what he learned from it. That's a great interview question to anybody going in for any job. And what he's saying is that his brother-in-law and him apparently together helped put together this pellet mill. I'm just trying to remember who would have had his hands in that. The only one I can think of is Rex and maybe Hardy. Like Hardy is a mechanical heavy equipment guy. Like brother-in-law. Jim sure as fuck wouldn't go into business with him. Robert had good land up in Vida. There's no way he would go into business with my dad. What idiot went into? I think he's trying to throw the brother-in-law under the bus in this. Okay, we'll listen to this again.
Largest portable.
It's the largest portable fucking pellet mill.
And how, I guess, benefit you.
Well, I had a real costly mistake one time. We put together what was the largest, my brother put together what was the largest portable hay television mill that was, we put it around the state. And that ended up costing me about $100,000, so.
Okay, nothing cost my father $100,000 ever. Okay, I don't know what this, okay, the pellet mill, apparently, I know the pellet mill, there's videos of me playing in the pellet mill. I wasn't more than 3 years old. I'm playing in the piles of the pellets. Okay, so and so that was about 76 to 78. Okay, the pellet mill was from 76 to 78. My dad couldn't rub two quarters together in 1978, so he did not lose $100,000 on a fucking pellet mill at all, ever, ever. I think I said before that my dad, in his 20s, I remember this because I spent 6 years with him in his 20s. He couldn't have a boss, so he's trying to do something where he doesn't have to have a boss. He's trying to be the boss. He's a... And plus, my mom is hounding him about money. So, the pellet mill was from 76 to 78. And he did not lose $100,000. He may have convinced his blessed mechanic house building masonry project fucking plumber mother-in-law. He may have asked her for some money. And she may have lost some money on that pellet mill, but Les didn't lose a fucking dime on it. And when you're in your 20s and you marry a trust fund, liberal Democrat, Thurston County, Washington wife, and you're trying to convince the in-laws that you are the man, I'm sure you come up with some ideas. The pellet mill in the 70s, look, I'm sure it didn't work. Look, and how old was he in 76? He was 26 years old. What the fuck did he know about having a business or do anything? But if there was any financing of that, it was not his 100. If he had $100,000, then why in the fuck did he build our deck out of a half-inch plywood? It's just the thought of this is, well, it's completely ridiculous. Okay, so good Lord. Oh, after the pellet mill, Tell him to open up his shirt. You'll see where he gets burnt. That happened in '81. This is before Charlie. Before Charlie was '81. '81 was when I was in first grade, and I don't know. I don't know exactly what happened, but he was trying to build somebody a Lincoln log home. My father had a company called the Lincoln Log Home Company. Everybody remembers Lincoln Logs from the 70s, right? Well, Dad thought, hey, look, I could visualize a Lincoln Log home. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to build Lincoln Log homes for people. That's going to be my business, Opal. Give me some money and let's go into business. Let's do it, sweetheart. Oh, look at, there's me in the wheat field. So Dad apparently got drunk, started mishandling some chemicals, and boy, I look dark. Okay. Apparently my dad got drunk, started mishandling some chemicals, and set himself on fire. And if you take his shirt off, you can see that he's, look, got burnt up, because that was another failed business. So if you want to know why the purse strings were tight in the 80s, this is the 80s. This is when I'm basically growing up. This is probably the worst time, the whole throughout the 80s. This is Dad being a failure. This is Dad not being able to have a boss because he's underappreciated, undervalued, underpaid. He wants his own business, but he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. This is mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. Finally, at 12 years old, I move out of that trailer house. The younger siblings don't appreciate being that old. When I left, I went through the hardest part of being a Schipman. I went through the hardest part, and I'm the one that gets treated like shit. I'm Miss T. I'm the one that's supposed to fucking pack the cross for this family. It's fucking amazing to me. But, okay, we're at an hour, 47 minutes, 39 seconds. Probably ought to wrap this up. But in his own words, you can, in his own words, you can see that he's a liar. We still don't know, based on anything I've said, whether or not Dad was a corrupt, evil person from the beginning, or if there's only two choices, because he is corrupt and evil. He stole from an old man to get everything that he has. Whatever he has is based on what Charlie gave him, and so he's not self-made. And they had this experiment with me about what happens if we give a daughter nothing. No emotional support, no monetary support, no let's take away her daughter. Let's make sure that nobody can ever love her ever. Let's make sure that the family is all pissed off at her all the time. Let's isolate her and make sure that she's not invited to weddings or funerals. Let's excommunicate her. even though we watch porn, even though we I mean, I think I don't know for sure, but I think I'm coming to a consensus that I'm not. I've come to a point where I'm not going to make excuses for my dad anymore. I'm pretty sure that he was evil when he met my mom. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that part of his life, it didn't really affect him either way. He was evil from the start, and that's why they did to me what they did. And if your name was mentioned in this video, I apologize. I did say my dad's name. If they want to come after me for I'd challenge you to find anything that I said that wasn't true. I guess that's it. It should be it. We're almost at 2 hours now, so if you watched part one, that's fine. If you if you hung in there until the end of this video, boy, you are a committed fan, and thank you very much. Please like and subscribe, and put in the comments whether or not you think my dad is evil or not. Look, maybe he's not. There's a trend happening, especially among the feminists. If we were to listen to Thurston County, Washington, all men are evil, and there wouldn't have been a question to begin with. But I wanted to like my dad. I really wanted to like my dad, and I wish I could have, but I think that he was an equal participant in the evil that my mom perpetrated. And I think that if anybody ever has to go to court against my mom, and my mom has some sort of a journal, just know that it's only about 15% correct, that she's making up about 85% of it, and that's just what she does. And the reason why she does it is because she's benefited from it. She's gotten a newborn son and a $27,000. You can't disprove a journal, and figure out how to disprove journals if you have to go against my mom, because she's got journal entries for every fucking thought that comes into her mind that might make you look bad. She's a Capricorn. She's a Capricorn. She does not care about anybody except herself. So she'll narrate a story, and she'll make up journal entries. You can win cases with that. She's won too. Just let's not let her win a third. And hopefully she'll die soon. What is she, 73 now? So she should be dying soon. And I take comfort in that. Other than that, it's nice to see everybody again. I got drunk. I'm sorry if I rambled on a little bit, but there was a few things I wanted to say. And get out there. And thank you for watching. And I guess I'll talk to you next time. Thanks a lot for being here. Bye-bye.